So imagine yourself at a bar hanging out with some friends and collapsing to the floor. Or better yet, you wake up and your clothes are off and you're thinking, what the heck just happened? Imagine being 5 years old and a complete stranger just comes, picks you up, kidnaps you, molests you, and then murders you. Today I'll be explaining to you about rape situations that occur mostly in a social environment, what molesters really want, and rape drugs and statistics of actual rape victims. I've been researching this topic for some time, and recently we had a guest speaker from community service programs in Orange County. Her name was Dawn Ford, and she came and spoke to us about these issues. This topic can relate to many of you because a lot of us don't know what can really happen, or a lot of us would rather just turn the other way and pretend that life doesn't happen. This topic, I'll be discussing what molesters want, what rape drugs are, and situations that occur mostly in a social environment. A victim usually becomes a victim by someone that they know, like, or trust. It can even be a family member. Molesters usually want just 3 things, which are someone to love, to be in control, and someone without a social life. Rape drugs that rapists usually use are one of the following. One is usually called the RO. It's, the full name is Rohypnol, which is an anesthetic, and it does just knock you out pretty much. The next one is called GHB, which stands for gamma hydroxybutyrate, and it's a liquid, and it's no color, no odor, nothing. It just dissolves in a drink, and you'll never know that it's even in there. Dawn Ford had very valuable and interesting information to provide for our class, and one specific story that she gave us was she was out with a friend, and she was very aware about stuff that had happened in the past, and she noticed that there was these 3 girls next to her. They were having a drink. They'd ordered drinks. Well, the bartender brought her iced tea, 2 other drinks, and he waited to bring the other girl her drink. So as he turned his back, he then gave her her drink, so right away she's like, something fishy about that. So she noticed in her iced tea that there, from the light, she said that it was a pill. So she immediately stopped the other girl and said, don't drink it, there might be something in it. Well, it turned out that in her iced tea it was just a lemon seed. But, and so it was this big ordeal. Cops came, everything, because these drugs are really serious. Well, these 3 girls had no idea that these drugs even existed, so they were all, wow, thank you for even, trying to save our lives. So the point in that story was to always just be alert of your surroundings, always be alert of what could happen, and if you have something to drink or order something to drink, know who's making it, know what's in it, and if you leave it, don't come back to it because you never know what could have happened. Only 2% of rape victims are attacked by strangers, and 98% of victims are attacked by people that they like, know, and trust. Usually somebody that you would never even imagine, but somebody that you are acquaintances with. And 98% of women are victimized. Only 2% of those, or only 2% are men, so it's usually women that are victimized. And rape is the only crime where the victim is to be blamed, because it's always, well, she was asking for it, or, well, she wanted it, but she told me no, but she really meant yes. And in reality, there's no excuse for it. In reality, no means no. And that's what a lot of people don't understand, and that's why a lot of women are ashamed to even go report it, because, like, well, in reality, maybe I'm just in doubt, maybe it didn't really happen, when in reality they're just ashamed of what had happened. Anybody can be a victim of rape, and it's not something that we obviously want, but it does happen. We have a lot of people who like to party, and I think it's important for us to know the pros and cons of what could possibly happen. I learned that I don't even need to be drinking an alcoholic beverage. It could be anything as little as an iced tea to be a victim of these drugs, to be a victim of sexual harassment or anything of that sort. I think that as a society we find it easier to just look away from the bad, or just turn the other way, or pretend like it doesn't happen, but it does happen. And I think as a society as a whole, we need to be more socially aware and socially protective of others. If you see something wrong, stop and help them. If you see a friend in need, stop and help them, because I think we would all want somebody to do that for us. So I hope I have informed you of information that you will take seriously, and after today I hope that you are more socially aware and won't be someone that just turns the other way. Thank you.
The one that was at the barn. Yeah, like it was it's just the same. No, but she put it in the
bartender to pull that off.
That's weird.
Right, Vanessa, I think you need an attention device that works a little bit better. The visualization is just awkward. Maybe there's some statistics or personal, not a personal example, but an example that you could use to illustrate the point. Your thesis is a little awkwardly phrased. There is a structure, but I'm not sure how all the points fit together except they're on the general topic. So it is a topical organization, but it doesn't really seem to be building much. The point that you had on your first point about the bartender situation, it sounds like the example doesn't really fit, except, you know, it's just one of those weird things where somebody's overreacting or reacting, and as an illustration of your point, it seems like odd that you would use one that's not a real illustration of the point. On your presentation, you end up being a little limited because you've got the notes there on the podium and you keep wanting to stay close to them. You have a few indicators where you're speaking. Your face is adequately expressive. Your eye contact is a little inconsistent. When you're telling that one story, for instance, you do have a tendency to look down quite a bit. Once you get at the end of the story, you start looking up a little bit more. Your voice projects pretty well. There's a little bit of variation in your voice. You have a narrow range in your tone, so you might want to emphasize other things with the volume and the pacing a little bit more to make it seem more energetic and more involving. I think that the one anxiety issue that might be noticeable mostly has to do with your dependence on the script. You're staying back a little more than you really want to during the speech. I do think you step forward a couple of times, but then you always have to go back to your security blanket there with the notes. All right, thank you. Eric, could you be our next speaker?